Thank Radwan and his wonderful team, Manji and Faitan, for having received me so well. I just arrived from France, where I've been living for the past several years, and they welcomed me so beautifully. And we've joined together now on this wonderful project that we call the Bridge for Hope. And before arriving here, what's important to know is that there was already a track record with this project. In the past 3 months, I've reached out to filmmakers around the world. I've reached out, UNESCO in Paris has become a supporter, a foundation in California which helped launch the famous internet movie called Coney 2012 is also on board with us. There are filmmakers in Hollywood that are on board with us. So when I arrived in Washington, we already have a movement forward. But it's thanks to CSID that now this project has a home. And so as Radwan said, certainly we would love for you to think about supporting, and certainly as the day goes on, don't feel free to come up and talk with me or to talk with Radwan and Manji or Faitan. Yeah, feel free. What did I say? Please feel free. Please feel free. Sorry. So, as Radwan's saying, we're launching a very large, very sustainable, very loving campaign against hatred against Muslims, against prejudice against Muslims, and against disrespect of Islam over the next several months. The principles that we use are two of the following. They're very important to the whole concept of Islam and democracy. The first is that the Western world needs to serve as a beacon for the practice for the good practice of protecting civil liberties and showing respect towards people of all backgrounds, and especially towards all minorities. This is the very foundation of the idea of democracy. And today, in a world which is highly mediatized around the world through social media, unless America and the other Western democracies are able to find some particular way of showing this to the rest of the world, they lose their luster. The second principle is that, on the contrary, if we do not, in the Western world, demonstrate these values, if we are not able to show respect towards Muslims, if we are not able to show understanding and acceptance of Islam as a religion as important as any other religion, then we're sending an opposite message. And of course, what happens then is we're hobbling the possibilities for the creation and the promotion of democracies. And most of all, what we're doing is creating the seeds for hatred against the Western world. So today, it's a very different world than it was after 9/11, where that particular world depended on communication through media. It was a lot easier to communicate through. So a Bridge for Hope is based on the idea of creating a sustainable campaign based on 3 ideas that we're working with among people. The first of all, people do not want to fear for long. America is made up of people that don't understand very well the Muslim world or Muslims. Therefore, their particular aspect of fear, compared to perhaps Europeans, is a little bit easier to approach than in Europe. And thirdly, if you approach people that do not like you, sometimes you can find people who are willing to listen. So over the next several months, we're creating a campaign. That campaign is based on the idea of creating little films, first of all, little teasers, working with some of the top filmmakers and top specialists and top social psychologists in the world in reaching out to the people, especially those people who are not in agreement with us, especially those people that might be accused of hatred or fear towards the Muslim world. And then we're capping that off in the first round with a documentary that wraps all of this up. We're working in ways that are entertaining and positive towards this population. And then as we go on, we're going to be creating an ongoing campaign that Radwan and I and the rest of the team will be working on, hopefully with you, into the years to come. That's all I'm going to say right now, but feel free to come to me or to Radwan or to Faitan or to Manji and talk about this over the rest of the afternoon. Thank you very much.
To add something on this, because Michael approached me about this project maybe 2 months ago, something like that, a month and a half ago, and we've been talking a lot about it since then. initially I said, you know, movies and the internet, who's going to watch them? Can they really make a difference? You know, I was skeptical. But then he sent me the video, which I had not seen until then, Kony 2012. K-O-N-Y 2012. Please watch it. It's a movie, 30-minute movie, but it made a huge difference. It became a movement that was able to raise $30 million on the internet, that had almost 40 million activists working in that movement who were active. It wasn't just watching a movie. The movie created a whole movement. That movement changed the world and solved the big problem in Africa, for a country in Africa. And so this started as a small movie, but it really became huge and made a big difference. I know there are lots of movies out there, and children or young people are always making movies on the internet, but this is not of the same scale. This is something different. If it's carefully studied, and if it's carefully managed, and if it's carefully produced and disseminated and all that, it can create a whole movement. So it's a big campaign, it's a whole movement, and really we are trying to do something similar to Kony 2012. So please do watch it if you have a chance to understand what we are trying to do. And again, I appeal to you to help us in whatever way you can, because this is a very big problem that must be addressed as soon as possible.